Hey, we're live. Holy crap, we're live on Facebook, and you're tuned in to Keeping It Real Estate Buyers and Sellers Edition. I'm the coach. I'll be with you for half an hour, and we're going to try to bring some normalcy to the real estate process. In the Buyers and Sellers Edition, what we're going to do is we're going to go over some topics that are interesting or important to buyers and sellers of homes, give you some information. Again, if you think back to what our goal is right from the beginning, it's to empower and educate you guys. So welcome. We appreciate you being here. Right now, we're on Tuesday mornings, as you can see, at 8 o'clock in the morning. Boom, right on the nose. After the first of the year, we'll be switching to Friday afternoons at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So we've still got a couple of shows left in this year. I can't believe where the year is going, for crying out loud. 2017 just started, and now it's gone. I can't even believe it. So 3 subjects, 3 buyer subjects, 3 seller subjects, designed to give you a little information, and hopefully we'll get you in and out of here in half an hour, because I know you need to get out there and start your day. Let's start with 7 items buyers might not want to ask for in a negotiation. What do you think? And I'm not saying that you have to go buy this stuff. In fact, I'm going to change my agenda for you guys. And we'll show you that. There we go. Basically, what we're asking you to do here is just think about what we're saying and use a little common sense in these. And I'll try to give you a hint as to why I think these are important, but I think you'll understand what they might be. Number 1, easily repaired items under $10. House inspectors often come back with a bunch of these types of things. There are a bunch of costs that are really $10 or less, or around $10, basically minor types of things. And then buyers get all excited about them and crazy about them because they're on the inspector's list, and they think that I got to have this all repaired. But remember, what you're doing here is, at some point in time, you've got some type of an agreement on the table, and you're going back and changing that agreement for $10 items. So save yourself the hassle and just omit these items from the list of requested repairs. Don't even put them on there, because what they're only going to do is cause you problems. Now, if it's a safety item, or if it has to do with a breakdown of a more expensive item, it's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about small things, an upside down plug outlet or something like that. I mean, just simple stuff. Basically, what I'm saying is, don't sweat the small stuff. Number 2, replacement of smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. So sometimes what you get is an adamant buyer about this, right? I have to have the smoke detectors, and I have to have the carbon monoxide detectors replaced and repaired, blah, 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 blah. And it seems like because it's a safety issue or safety concern, and it gets deeply rooted inside them. But I just want you to think of it this way. Let's just say that it's not a code in your area to do this. In other words, they're not saying you have to do this. In that case, wouldn't it be better if you get to decide where you want to put the smoke detectors and the carbon monoxide detectors? Because typically, when it's put up, they're drilling holes in the wall or the ceiling or something of that nature, and it's going to have to stay there. Well, maybe it's someplace you didn't want it. So if it's possible, why not just ask for them to be placed in the room, not adhered to a wall or a ceiling, just placed in the room, pass inspection, and then you put them where you want to put them. So just common sense. Again, repair issues that are code or safety, we're not talking about that, but we're talking about you making your own decision. Number 3, cosmetic issues in a resale home, not necessarily in a new home, but cosmetic issues in a resale home. So if you've got some unevenness to the paint or the baseboards, maybe a slightly different color, you can see brush marks or things of that nature. It's normally something that you would talk about, or that you would factor into your offer on the home. This is not something that you want to make an issue out of during the negotiations or during the counter offer stages. It's going to turn into, well, you know what? I just don't want to do it. And how do you know there's not a backup offer or somebody just waiting to put an offer in on that house? Again, don't sweat the small stuff. Look at it way before you put in your offer and factor in the fact that you're going to have to factor in the fact that you're going to have to repaint the house. Number 4, repairs related to minor plumbing and electrical issues. So often a home inspector will report everything that has to do with plumbing and electrical just because it saves their butt, right? So that's a cover your you-know-what type of a situation. But if it's something, remember I talked a little bit earlier about just an upside down panel or a light switch that's cracked or something of that nature. If there's some corrosion on a fixture, unless these problems are cited as a safety concern or a code violation, it's just a simple repair that you can do yourself. Don't get it all crazy. Have a handyman do it later. But again, don't mess up your negotiations over simple electrical and plumbing, right? Removing a fixture that's discolored, you can do that later. In fact, you're probably going to want to do it. Number 5, repair of hairline, emphasize hairline cracks in basement or driveway or concrete areas, wherever they might be. So concrete expands and contracts naturally, and over time it cracks. And that's just the way it is. As long as the cracks are minor, don't list them in the request for repairs. However, if the breaks are over a 1/4 inch, so if they're thick, it's an excellent idea to have a structural engineer take a look at that. That's important. Structural cracks are a whole new ball game. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about minor cracks, things that you can fill later. So figure out where your comfort zone is and determine minor and major. And if it's minor, leave it alone. If it's major, then get an engineer to tell you if it affected the foundation or it's affecting the entire structure itself. Number 6, outdoor landscaping or porch and fence repairs. These items were visible when you first saw the house. So these are, again, not part of, you have to fix these, Mr. Seller, before I'll buy your house. No, this is part of negotiating the price in the beginning. So once you've passed that and you've seen all these obvious things where maybe you have to do some plant replacement, or maybe you have to upgrade the porch or paint it or put a new flooring, something like that. Now, there is an exception. If you're buying FHA, FHA has different guidelines than conventional loans, so you have to kind of pay attention to that. If it's FHA and it's in there, then you have to do it. Or if it's USDA, which, by the way, we'll talk about on another show. USDA loans are awesome. You should check them out. If it's something like that, then, I get it. But if it's not mandated, then keep it out of this particular part of the process. Number 7, replacement of failed seals and windows, okay? Unless the window is under warranty, most sellers are not going to mess with this. They're going to refuse to fix it. And window seals basically fail over time anyway. So it's something that would be considered normal wear and tear. It's expected when you're in this, so factor that in again. So most of the things that we're talking about today is a pick your battle situation. And for all the items on the list, some of them should have been taken care of prior to you putting in your bid on the house. And then some of them are after. It's really important that you understand which are which, because a seller is more likely to agree to $300 or $400 credit for the buyer than replacing $30, $10 items that they have to do over time, and they got to do them themselves or they got to get somebody in. Separate these things out. Bottom line, don't mess with your closing over small things. Get your house, get her done, and don't sweat the small stuff. Okay. Second subject, we're going to put it up. Are you ready to buy your house? Are you really ready to buy your house? So I'm going to ask you some questions, or we're going to talk about a few things, and it's going to help you understand, am I really ready to buy this first house in particular? So first time home buyers, this one's for you. Buying your first house, first of all, is awesome. It's fantastic, but it's a big leap when you go into home ownership. You need to be certain that you're prepared. And I'm going to give you a few questions you might consider. Again, when you watch the coach's show, what are we saying? In my humble opinion. All right. I want you to think on your own. I just want to give you some stuff to as a basis for those thoughts. Think this through, and if it makes sense to you, then follow through with it. But this is all, coach's opinion at this point in time. Ask yourself this question. Number one, how is my credit? So before you consider purchasing a home, review your credit report. You can do it with things like Credit Karma and the online stuff, but I'm going to tell you right now, those online credit reports like Credit Karma, they're not for a house and they're not for a car. They're typically set up for you for credit cards or credit situations, okay? So the numbers that it shows you are not the numbers you're going to get. So I would get a credit report check from a lender who's going to tell you what your credit score is for buying a home, because they're different, okay? But what I'm talking about now is checking for the inaccuracies in your report. It's not neat. You don't have to have a perfect report, but you do have to check and make sure that there's no inaccuracies in there, and that your name is right, and that your history is correct, and that your address is right, and basically that your credit has a kind of flow to it that shows that you're a responsible person and you repay your debt. Even if you have some credit issues, that really doesn't matter. There's ways to improve your credit score. So what I'm talking about here is look at your credit score, not your score, excuse me. Look at your credit history. Make sure it's you. For crying out loud, it could be somebody else that has a name like you that got on your score. So don't be surprised by it. Check it first. Number two, have you saved enough for a down payment? This is a question a lot of people don't ask themselves. For most first-time home buyers, a home down payment is big, right? It's probably the largest thing they've ever done outside of a really nice car, right? This is the biggest thing they've done. So while there's all kinds of different loan programs with different down payments and reductions in this and grants on that, pretty much there's going to be a large down payment of some kind. And you have to determine, okay, so if they ask me for that amount of money, how much is going to come out of my bank, and what am I going to be left with? I don't want you to factor in things to your monthly payment like HOA and stuff like that. But the down payment, I want you to think about whether or not, when that's out of your bank, do you have enough money to get yourself going and get some things that you need? It's an important question. We're coming up on tax time because it's towards the end of the year. Maybe you got a tax refund coming. That'll come, probably within 30 days or so of you putting in your taxes. Think about that and put it aside. That just might be the kind of money that you need to make that down payment comfortable for you. Number three, can you afford the monthly payments? Even if you have saved enough for the down payment, like we just talked about, you need to be prepared and certain that you can make those monthly payments. And I'm not talking about everything. I'm talking about just the monthly mortgage payment. I'm not even talking about the other expenses like the property taxes that may or may not be impounded in it. HOA dues, home owner association dues. Even homes have that. It's not just for condos. You might have home owner association dues. You got to put that in there too, right? So now you got a mortgage payment, you got taxes and insurance, you've got HOA fees. Add that up. Is that an expense that you're going to be comfortable with? Because you have a life to live. You want to go out to dinner with your husband or wife. You want to get the kids into a soccer program or baseball or football. Do you have enough money in your life to afford that payment? Don't put yourself into a situation where you can't afford it. I sound like your dad, I know, but I'm sure that your father or your mother would tell you the same thing. Don't say, you know what, if I don't do this and I don't do that, I'll be able to afford it. It'll be great. No problems. Yeah, it's a problem. Factor these things in. That's money. And it's something that's uncomfortable for a lot of people to talk about and to think about. But guess what? It's vital. All right. What's our third topic today for our buyers? 7 pricing. Let me put this up on the board. There we go. 7 pricing myths sellers shouldn't fall for. Wow, that was hard for me to say. 7 pricing myths sellers shouldn't fall for. We've all heard these, right? Gosh. I think I got ahead of myself, didn't I? I did. That's number 4. Oh my God. See, this is part of what working in a live situation does for you. But luckily we can adjust on the fly. Ta-da! That's what we're going to be talking about. So when I cut this up in editing, I'm going to be cutting all that stuff out. Well, you won't even know it was there. You guys know because it's live. So if there's anybody actually watching me right now, you know that I messed up. But when I edit this, they won't know. This is section 3, and it is some steps to finding the right neighborhood for you. See, this is more of a buyer thing, huh? Because the other one was a seller thing you would have known. Okay, some steps to finding the right neighborhood for you. And is it on the screen now? It is on the screen. Awesome. Finding the right neighborhood is a factor for so many people, but especially for our millennials now. Neighborhood is everything for them because it's a very community based generation. And I have 6 of them, so I know they're amazing when it comes to this. Let me give you some easy steps to follow for finding a neighborhood that will fit your needs. Number 1, decide what's important to you and ask yourself questions about your future plans and lifestyle. So I'm not saying right now, I'm saying what will you like now and in the future? Maybe you're at that point in your life where things are changing. Maybe you're pregnant, you're having a baby. Things can change. So I need you to sit down and ask yourself not only what I want now, but what I want in the future. You have, like we said, are you going to have children? Do you need more rooms? That's a factor in this type of a thing. What specific kind of home are you looking for? Are you looking for a New York lofty kind of style? Are you looking for a ranch style home with a big yard and front patio and wraparound and all that kind of stuff? Get yourself settled in to what you want. Otherwise, you'll go through too many pictures, number 1. And number 2, you might forget it. And then all of a sudden you get to the house and you start telling your real estate agent, I want to see it. And wait a minute, it doesn't have a wraparound porch. I don't want to see this. So plan, right? How long, and speaking of plans, how long do you plan to live in this home? Is it something that you know you're only going to be in for 5 or 7 years? Big factor in what type of a home you're actually going to get, right? And down to how many bedrooms and bathrooms, or what's the neighborhood like? Is the neighborhood decaying or growing? If it's decaying, you might not care because you're only staying there 5 or 7 years. If it's growing, that's the place you hang on to for 20 or 30 years. The kids are out of school into college and you're an empty nester. How far are you willing to commute for work? That's a big question, especially in Southern California. Holy Toledo, we have freeways that are just nasty. So ask yourself about the commute and make sure you look it up on a map. Do you want to be in a mature neighborhood or a neighborhood with a bunch of new construction? That's a question that you got to ask yourself. Are there a bunch of new homes going up? 2 reasons. Number 1, new homes tend to look different than mature homes, but think about the noise factor. If there's a bunch of new home construction going on around you and you really wanted to live in a mature, quiet neighborhood, guess what? Ain't happening. There's going to be nail guns and hammers and all kinds of stuff going off. So consider whether you want new construction or not, and stay in a neighborhood that either has it or not. Lifestyle. Oh my God. What lifestyle choices are important to you? Do you want to be able to walk? What's the walkability of the house? And there's actually a walkability website that'll give you a great indication. It's called Walk Score. What about the restaurants, the entertainment? Is it more rural? Is it more urban? All those things are important when it comes down to it. That was a long step 1. Woo! I'm tired. Let me get a drink here. I got to get a drink. Much better. By the way, coffee bean, awesome. Step 2, gather information on potential. I'm not saying during, but potential locations and compare statistics. So this is a lot of work. You've got all the type of locations you might want, and you start looking at statistics for all of them. But then you can be like A, B, C, D. Oh my God, look at the difference. Remember, you're going to buy a very expensive house and you're going to live there for a while. So it doesn't matter if you're doing a lot of homework. A lot of homework is good. It's good in this case. Once you've decided what you want out of the neighborhood, and you do a home search for a few potential areas, compare the information side by side, like I said, between the neighborhoods. Don't forget schools, crime statistics, parks, homeowners associations, whether they're good or bad, whether they're solvent or non-solvent, very important. Make a note. That's a nugget. A lot of homeowners associations are out of money. And when that happens, your landscaping starts to look like crap and your roads don't get repaired. So find out whether your homeowner association is solvent. There are ways to do that. Ask your agent. They'll help you. Again, nearby conveniences, stuff that we mentioned above. Step 3, visit the neighborhood. Okay. I'm not talking about visit the neighborhood with your real estate agent and go see the house. And I drove through, I was there. I saw the house. It was beautiful. No. After all of that is done and you're pretty sure you want this house and you've done all your research, I want you to take another drive, not just one, actually. I want you to take multiple drives through that area at different times of the day and at different days of the week. You don't know what goes on in that neighborhood every day in the afternoon, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, whatever, in the evening. Who's making noise? Who's loud? Who's repairing their cars on the front lawn? Whose dogs are barking constantly? What's the noise level in the daytime, nighttime when noises are worse? What kids in the neighborhood are having parties? Are their cars screeching through the neighborhood? I want you to go to the neighborhood at different times, day and night, and I want you to be in the moment. Just be in the moment with the neighborhood. Be one with the neighborhood, okay? But I'm serious when I say it. You want to be comfortable there at all times of the day, all times of the night. And you know what? A lot of you aren't going to do that, and it's a shame because you're going to go to your new house, and every Wednesday night there is a party across the street that is noisier than heck, and it makes you crazy, but you didn't check on a Wednesday night, did you? No, because you didn't listen to the coach. Please do it. All right. We're done with the buyer sections, and now how about a little something for the sellers? So we're going to do 3 sections for the sellers now. How are we doing on time, by the way? Oh, my goodness, we're a little behind. Okay. What are we going to do first? 7 pricing myths. Sellers, hey, remember this is the one we put up by accident. Shh, don't tell anybody. 7 pricing myths sellers shouldn't fall for. Let's put it up on the screen. There it is. And we'll start talking about it now. Myth, right? It's something that you've heard for years, but may or may not be true. Number 1, is it better to price the home on the high side because the seller can always come down? Myth. Because if buyers are interested, they can make an offer. They can make any type of an offer. Well, not quite. If a home is overpriced, the seller takes risks. They take risks of losing potential buyers who aren't stretching their search into an uncomfortable area or price range, or they were just under that price range, right? And what really this comes down to is, you've heard your mom always say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So don't screw around with being high on your price. It's going to limit the amount of people who see your home. You'll limit the amount of buyers, and you just don't know how many buyers there are out there at that moment in time for your house. So price wise, my friends. Yoda says, price wise, my friends, be wise. Don't mess around with price, okay? Get it right the first time. Be there where you want to be. Along with that, myth number 2, if a home is priced just right, a seller risks leaving money on the table. No, actually the opposite is true. A well-priced home tends to generate a lot more interest, a lot more views, and can result in multiple offers. And when you have a multiple offer situation, what did you do? You switched it from a buyer's market to a seller's market, and you typically get more money or shorter escrow or something that you wanted versus something that they wanted. So that's a myth. It's a good thing to be priced exactly right. Shorter marketing span ends up bringing stronger offers, and that could result in a home selling for over the asking price, which is really cool. Buyers are less likely to play let's make a deal with you, and you and I both know that you hate that. And they're not going to nitpick every little thing that they feel is so urgent or compelling, or and that what they don't know is whether or not there's other interested parties, right? So they have this mystery going on. Are there other people interested in this house? Because it's priced so well, there must be more people interested. And then that human factor comes in and they start competing for your business. Number 3, myth. The price gets better with time. If it doesn't sell, the seller will get a better price the next time they put it on the market in springtime when the flowers are blooming and the kids are getting out of school and blah, 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 blah. There's lots of ways to spin that, but it's been said before, but it needs to be said again. A home that sits is not like a fine wine. It does not get better with time. The longer a home stays on the market, the more likely buyers are to start questioning its viability, its value. What's wrong with this thing? Why didn't it sell the first time? And that's all information that's available to them. So it's not like they're not going to know it didn't sell the first time. Subsequently, any offers that come in tend to be perceived as too low by the seller, and then that frustrates the seller, right? So now you get a bunch of frustrated people. So it doesn't get better in time. Sell it when you want to sell it. And a lot of times, by the way, it should sell to the very first offer. I know it's crazy, but it's true. Myth number 4. This number X is as low as the seller is willing to go. That's it. We're not messing around with this. So what happens when you're faced with an offer that's less than what they want? The sellers, I don't know what it is about them, but they like to draw lines in the sand and dig in their heels, and some arbitrary number that they think, I don't know, maybe they saw it on a website and got an estimate. I don't know. But you can't draw lines in the sand with these types of negotiations, people. It's not necessarily some arbitrary number that's in your head. There's stuff that goes into this. Buyer demand, lots of things go in. Supply and demand, economics. Remember high school people? Don't get bottom line, right? I mean, who decides what a property is ultimately worth anyway? Buyers see the glass half empty. Sellers see the glass half full. And in some markets and real estate cycles, they're holding the cards, and some you're holding the cards. A seller can decline an offer based on a number anytime they want, but they can never get back anything with a closed mind. I don't know. I know I'm saying that wrong, but you close off your mind and you're going to lose. And it's a simple thing in life, and it's really a big part of a negotiation. Okay, number 5, an offer should come in close to asking price. So that's a huge myth. If you've sold homes or bought homes, this is your first home? No, that's not true. If you've done this before, think back. An offer is not necessarily going to come in right at your asking price. For the most part, what are they going to do? They're going to lowball, right? So it starts the process. It begins the negotiation, the conversation. Sellers are often disappointed at the initial price when an offer is received, and they ask, why so low? Does a seller really think that a buyer is going to be so generous and wonderful with their initial offer that they're going to say, oh, this is it. It's wonderful. I'm giving you all the money you wanted. Unless it's a really hot market, right? And you've got multiple bids going on, and they've tried to buy 10 houses already and lost out to another bidder and blah, blah, blah. That's not what I'm talking about. So don't look at this and say, yeah, but what if? I'm talking about on the average. Normally, what happens? Buyers come in low. Sellers don't like it. You got to start a negotiation period. Or if you're priced aggressively, then it might just come in at that. But let's just go with the normal stuff. Buyers are going and willing to make an offer for what they want to, especially on the first pass. They want to get a sense of the seller's flexibility too, right? They want to know whether or not you've got a lack of compassion, or they want to know what's going on with you. So for God's sakes, just be open-minded. Think of this in a simple fashion. It's a negotiation. It's going to go both ways. So just let it go. Let it go. Relax. Have fun with the process. Don't get angry with it, because anger changes everything. Number 6, outdated features shouldn't impact the selling price. Myth. So the home has upgrades from 1990 with white melamine cabinets with beveled edges and laminate counters and, I don't know, builder grade 12 by 12 inch tiles, brass fixtures. Oh my God, that's just horrible. And the buyer, how do I put this? The seller expects the buyer to do their own upgrades, right? They've already said how much they want to pay for the house, and we've already negotiated it. I want you to pay full asking price, and I want you to change your own fixtures. Well, reality check, right? Reality check here, people. The buyers are looking at how much they're going to have to spend to bring all of that stuff up to today's standards and what they want. So it's either been negotiated into the price, or they're going to want some things changed. And that's just the way things go. Number 7, myth. The buyer's offer is simply too far off the asking price to counter back. This one drives me crazy. So you list your house for $700 and the buyer offers $600, and you're like, that is just so insulting. It's so bad. I just can't stand it. Oh my God. I don't even want to talk to them anymore. Just make them go away. Hello, you got an offer on your house. A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. Did you ever hear that? A buyer has stepped up and shown interest. They put a pen to the paper and they offered you something and made you a proposal. Begin the negotiation. Start discussions. Like I think I said earlier, sometimes the first offer you get is the only offer you get, and it might be the best. Don't be insulted by a lowball offer. Just start the negotiations and go back. It can be easy to get offended, but it's best to keep emotions out of the whole situation, or at least as much as possible. Work in good faith with what was presented. A seller will learn quickly if it looks like a good deal may come together. Pricing a property is a delicate dance. The bottom line is that the market doesn't guarantee as strong a price as the seller usually wants or expects. Unless the home's in a highly sought after area, blah, blah, blah. We already talked about that. Or if it's rare, whatever. It doesn't have to be. It's all a negotiation. So let's make it a negotiation. All right. Woo, these things, I gotta get him to go faster, don't I? Because I missed my half hour now, and I still have things. I have 2 more. We're gonna do them anyway. Okay, we're gonna do things to consider when you are selling your home. Things to consider when you're selling your home. Gosh, so many things, right? I'm tired. Okay, the live version is getting me again. All right, I got a drink. Take 2. Things to consider when you are selling your home. Again, in my humble opinion, but I want you to consider these things, okay? Number 1, you want to sell your home quickly and price it. If you do want to sell your home quickly, price it just under the market value. Pricing your home slightly under or below market value gives you a better chance of selling quickly, and it starts a process of buyer activity that may lead to a more realistic asking price and still having it done quickly, and may lead to multiple offers, which could be an above asking price type of a situation. Is it scary? Oh yeah, listing your house under what you think the correct, or you and your realtor think the correct asking price is. Oh yeah, it's scary, but it also creates activity, and activity is good, especially in a market that might be a little stagnant. But in general, pricing it slightly under, creating activity, it's a quality thing to do. Number 2, Selling your current home might be a long process. So factor that into your thinking, okay? It's important to be realistic about this stuff. How long the process in selling your home may take. When you underestimate the actual time frame and build a schedule around that under expectation, you are welcoming stress into your life and disappointment into your life that you just don't want. So set your expectations properly. While the market is hot right now, I get it. Smart seller will allow at least 2 to 4 months anyway to sell their home. If you think just because it's a hot market, you might get out of there in 30 to 45 days, is it possible? Yeah, it could happen. But when you set your expectations on 30 to 45 days and it becomes 60 days and you start stressing out over it, it's bad, because then bad decisions are made. So make sure, even in a hot market, set your expectations for 2 to 4 months. And then if it's earlier, heck, you're happy, right? It's just like anything else. Set the bar a little bit lower. And when it happens, you feel better. Let's think about what makes up that time. Preparing your home for sale is at least 2 weeks. The average time on the market will vary, right? So that could be, depending on the price point, current state of your property, maybe it's around 30 days, maybe 45. You negotiate for a week or so to get it to closing, and then you get it into closing, and escrow takes 30 to 45 days to get it done. So what did I just tell you? 2 to 4 months? That's realistic, and that's where we get that 2 to 4 month time frame. Number 3, the senses make the sale. Keep in mind, buyers want to walk into a house that looks good, it feels comfortable, and it smells neutral, right? So it doesn't smell like animal or litter box. It doesn't smell like you just finished cooking fish for the family. Be sure to clean it well, leave lights on, even leave out little snacks and drinks for people that come through. Make them feel at home, make them feel comfortable when they come through. But really, really work on that smell thing because people will walk into your house and be either impressed or depressed by that smell. Also, when you're touring other houses that are for sale, because if you're selling a house, you're probably buying a house, make some mental notes or even write them down or put them in your phone or something about what you noticed about their house and put it into your house and let it work for you just like it worked for them. Number 4, real estate agents play a major role in the process. Okay, yes, we're sponsored by Homes for Sale Near Me, and I have like 500 friends who are real estate professionals. I get it, but they play a major role. Negotiate all you want with them. That's part of it for them. They get it. But having a professional in the process is good, period. They know information that you need to make the best decision possible. When it comes to buying and selling a home, that's what they do, right? You can negotiate with lawyers. I don't know if you can negotiate with doctors. I haven't tried that yet, but maybe you can. I don't know. But you need them to fulfill certain pieces of the process. So they'll know what's going on, what's terrific, what's not. They know the neighborhood's pretty good too, right? And of course, Homes for Sale Near Me, my buddies at 949-227-3777 would love to come out and help you. Did I say that too fast? 267, man, 3777. Great people, Homes for Sale Near Me. We talk about them all the time. Those guys back there, I love them, use them. Okay, we're done with that one. No way. That's awesome. We got one more to go. I know we're late, but let's pound through this thing. We can do it. What's the last one we're going to do? How to prepare for an appraisal. Ooh, exciting stuff, right? How to prepare for an appraisal. Everybody wants to know how to prepare for an appraisal, right? That's the first thing you thought about when you were selling your house. No, it wasn't, but you should have at least thought about it because it's part of the process. And an appraisal can make or break the sale of your house. It can hose you or it can save you. So get prepared for it. Well, how do I get prepared for it? I'm going to tell you. Determining the price of a home is a stressful part, especially if you don't know and aren't prepared. The appraisal is weird. Okay. It's a value. Sometimes the value is so far from the listing price that you don't understand why it happened that way. So even though appraisers are subject to strict regulations, I mean, they got guidelines, and it's a little subjective, it's crucial for you to make a good impression on them. And how you do that, number one, you develop a critical eye. First step towards getting ready for an appraisal can be the hardest for sellers to do because they have to go through their own home with a critical eye. And that can be difficult. None of us like to say bad things about ourselves, especially about where we live, but we have to. And you have to make yourself aware of any areas in need of maintenance, and you need to get that done before they come, because doing so allows you to think like an appraiser, identifying any factors that might negatively affect your home sale. In other words, if you can figure it out before they get there, you're saving yourself a lot. You're saving yourself trouble. Number two, catch up on your home maintenance. Maintenance, the thing nobody likes, or honeydews, right? Catch up on your honeydews, because one of the most critical things to do in this process to make your home outstanding is maintenance tasks. So go ahead and do all the small projects yourself, like fixing squeaky doors. You get your WD-40 out and do that. Clean out your gutters so that it looks clean and nice, and it doesn't flood if there happens to be rain coming. For the bigger jobs, get a handyman, go to a plumber, an electrician to do that type of stuff. Hire a certified professional. Might cost a little bit more up front, but they will give you a receipt for their work, and then any liability for that work done can be passed on to them. If you get Joe Schmo and they don't give you an invoice and the electrical blows up, it's on you. Yeah. Remember, they should be smaller tasks that you're doing, not the larger tasks. We're not talking about renovations or painting and stuff like that. Curb appeal can or can't be a small item. And certainly don't add a room or do something ridiculous on that type of a thing. Oh, it's not easy doing this show live. I'll tell you that right now. Most of the larger items that I just went through, they're not really worth it anyway. It's funny how small stuff makes a bigger difference than big stuff does. So keep up on that maintenance. It's going to be important to you. Number three, put together a list of your upgrades. So what have you upgraded? This is called a highlight sheet, and highlight sheets end up being very valuable tools because they allow the appraiser to see all of the records of what you've done and added and how you've added value to the house. They can just look at it real quick, one glance, and it's probably better to sit down with your agent when you're doing this to make the list, because they can help you through it. But it's basically a list of improvements that's been made to your home in the past decade. Let's go with a decade, and include approximate dates, whether there were permits involved, whether there's warranties involved with these, as well as highlight some of the things on the sheet. It shouldn't include aesthetic improvements. That wouldn't be part of it. Like something you did to the kitchen or the bathroom, or functional or structural improvements like a roof or an HVAC system. That's not what we're talking about. That should be on a separate list. We're talking more about upgrades that you've made to the house, to the living, to how it feels, to how living takes place in the room. Number four, okay, last but way not least, clean. And then when you're done, clean some more. It might sound like a no-brainer. Cleaning up for an appraisal is so important, it bears repeating. Clean up. Appraiser is just a human being. And again, you only get one shot at a first impression. And they're only going to come view your home one time. So making it clean, fresh, open, airy, light, that type of thing, it's important even for the appraiser. So kind of like a showing for the appraiser. Your best bet is to tackle the task in parts of deep clean first, and then maybe 3 or 4 days before the appraisal, do the deep clean. And then right before the appraisal, you want to make sure that you do one of those pickup, cleanup type things where you move all the toys someplace and put them in closets, and you clean all the counters, and you do the mirrors and the windows and stuff. Well, maybe not windows, but it'll influence the appraiser's opinion of your home, which can affect and determine what the value is that you end up getting out of it. Lastly, and I know I said that before, make sure your agent's involved in the whole process. Your real estate agent will likely be familiar with how the appraisal process works and how it's regulated in your area. So ask your agent to make sure that they get involved, and ask them for a list of comps. Have them put together a list of comps in a nice, clean way for the appraiser. The appraiser might have missed something in the process. It happens all the time. But if your agent's prepared and have that list of the proper comps for the appraiser, they can't make that mistake. They can't omit a home that needs to be in there in order for the value of your home to get there. So again, your realtor's your friend. They need to be there. They should be handy. The list should be handy. And walk around with the appraiser. If, in fact, ask them, can I walk around with you? And if they say no, there's a problem, because you should be able to. You might not end up going under the house or in the attic or something of that nature. But it's something that you're allowed to do, and you probably should do. Get in there and talk to them through and listen to them. Sometimes they talk to themselves when they're writing things down. Hey, we got through 6. It was a 45-minute show, so the coach has got to do some work on this as we move forward, because I really wanted to get to half an hour. But I thank you so much for tuning in. It's been tremendous getting back on the air with Keeping It Real Estate. Thank you to Homes for Sale Near Me, a great bunch of people, the only agent on demand service in Long Beach, California, where literally if you're standing in front of a house for sale and you want to go in, you call them at 949-267-3777, and they come and they help you out. This has been Keeping It Real Estate. It's December 12th, and this is the coach. I'm out. You guys take care and have a fantastic week.